Hey everybody, and welcome on into another video. My name is Ty, and thanks for clicking on this one. And today we're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite American metal bands. Happy 4th of July to all the Americans out there. Sorry to any of the Brits out there. We got you that round. But yeah, just wanted to talk about my 10 favorite American metal bands. And these aren't the ones that I potentially think are the best or the most important or influential. And this is completely subjective. If I was doing an objective list, the list would probably look a stark contrast to this, very differently. Like if I was actually going to sit down and go, yes, objectively, this band is the most important to American metal or the American metal scene or what have you. Also, do not have this broken down by subgenre. So I've got some thrash covered. We've got some proggy stuff covered. We've got some death metal in here, some industrial stuff, some traditional metal. So yeah, kind of runs the gamut there. And I will do a part 2 of this that you can check out on the channel that will cover my favorite American hard rock and rock bands. So I figured this is going to be long enough, and I didn't want to muddle it up. If you just want the metal stuff, here you go. And nothing too crazy, nothing like major deep cuts in here, just bands that are very important to me that happen to be from the good old US of A. So yeah, let's get into it. The first band that I want to talk about, Slayer. I pulled Hell Awaits just because I love Hell Awaits. I probably go back to Hell Awaits more than most Slayer albums. But yeah, man, it's kind of hard to talk about, the history of metal in the U.S. without talking about Slayer. I think that's a near impossibility. Such a hugely influential band, obviously, with the Big Four and thrash and, even later in the, late 90s, early 2000s and stuff, like, they just blew up, and even beyond just kind of a regional like thrash band, or like just a U.S. thrash band, I should say. And yeah, they're worldwide, world renowned for good reason. Absolutely stellar albums, stellar releases, and a great run of albums, in my opinion, all the way up till Divine Intervention. There's basically no misses there for me. So yeah, an absolutely stellar run and a hugely important band to myself and like my musical journey. Still, to me, one of the coolest bands ever, and will always be one of the coolest bands ever. I will always have the memory of those four guys. And yeah, just an awesome fucking band, obviously. Next up, another very important band to me, hugely important in my listening. That's Queensryche. I pulled Empire because I love Empire, and I think it gets a lot of shit by fans. But I absolutely love this band. Again, I think a legendary run from the EP up until Empire. I don't think they ever missed. Empire, they went very commercial and, started writing songs for the radio and songs for MTV. But honestly, I think those songs are so deep and so well done. Like, they're just amazing. And I think Chris DeGarmo, such a good songwriter, such a good player. Man, I wish he was still in the band. I mean, the band changed drastically when Chris left. And and kind of an interesting band too, because they had a great run. Like I said, that up until Empire, like those first releases include the EP, absolutely stellar. To me, essential American metal, hard rock, if you want to consider this one hard rock. But everything else, if you want to consider that metal, whatever. We're picking at semantics here. But a great run. And then just a kind of a tragic fall off later in the 90s into the 2000s. And then when Todd La Torre came into the band after all the drama with Jeff Tate leaving, they're releasing absolutely stellar albums again. I love all the Todd La Torre era albums. I think they're all good in their own right. They stand up on their own. And they're one of the few legacy acts going out there that are still dropping good, important music that's important to the band and important to the legacy of the band. So props to them for that. I absolutely love those records too. So it's good to see what Eddie and Whip have done with Queensryche. And I think they're good stewards of the band for sure. So yeah, but Queensryche, Empire, love this fucking album. And I love the band, man. And I think a quintessential American band for sure. Another band that I absolutely adore, Fear Factory. I pulled Soul of a New Machine just because I don't think people talk about it enough. I think most people talk about Demanufacture, which rightfully so. Demanufacture is an absolutely stellar and important album to industrial death metal. And it's, quintessential. It's a must listen. But this record is way heavier, I think, than Demanufacture, and it's still just so good in its own right. Martyr, Leechmaster, Scapegoat, oh man, Scum Grief. This record absolutely rips. Burton sounds brutal on it. Dino, I love Dino's playing. I've always loved Dino. And Raymond Herrera, man. Raymond on drums, what a beast. One of the best to ever freaking do it. And again, another really good run. I love Obsolete. I even like Digimortal quite a bit. They had a great run, and then when Dino left, I like those two records too. Archetype I talked about on a recent video, and I freaking love Archetype so much. And then when Dino and Burton got back together, they released some really good albums that are definitely good Fear Factory albums for sure. A band that you have to talk about when you talk about American death metal, obviously that's Death. I pulled Human just because Human is my favorite album that Chuck ever did. My favorite lineup that Death ever had. Big prog fan, so this is right up my alley. But really, I don't really think Chuck ever did a bad record. I love Control Denied too. I think that record's really, really solid for what he was trying to do at that time. And, love or hate Chuck, no matter what you think about him and his kind of love-hate relationship with death and death metal and all that stuff, I 100% respect him as an artist and, chasing what he wanted to do. That's, a lot of death metal bands can fall into that formula, and I think that's what he was fighting against, and for better or for worse. And I think his artistry and his brain just worked on a different level, and just trying to, when you get to that level, I think you're trying to entertain yourself a lot. And if you're just playing the same death metal records over and over again, like you've already mastered that, you want to move on to the next hurdle, so to speak. But yeah, absolutely quintessential listening for anybody obviously getting into death metal, American death metal, especially. Hard to tell the story of American metal without this band. That's for sure. Let's go to this band I love. Pulled this record just because I was listening to it last night, and I still absolutely love it. Typo Negative's Life is Killing Me, but Typo Negative is the band, obviously, we'll talk about. Again, just like a lot of these bands, in my opinion, a stellar run of albums. I don't think they ever released a bad album. And all varied, all different styles, all pulling from different influences. And to me, like a quintessential American band. That East Coast New York humor, they do it so well, and it's hard to do humor in hard rock and metal and pull it off. And to me, Typo always just did it so well. They never took anything too seriously. They could take the piss out of themselves, the fans, the scene, and just pull it off. And that's hard to do, and I respect that because I like when bands can bring levity to serious things. And Typo were masters of that, for sure. Peter, obviously, as well. And I love this album. I love all their albums. And to me, they are quintessential an American band, American product. And they're a great band, man. A great, great band. And I think, one of the great things about them too is just appealing to so many different people, appealing to the metalheads, appealing to the goth kids, getting those big videos on MTV and Headbangers Ball. Like, that's hard to do, to have that broad appeal to many different scenes and please those people kind of all similarly. And I think their personalities and their humor and obviously their songwriting ability and, pop sensibilities and the ability to write really good, catchy hooks. And obviously Peter's vocals, that's a big hook within itself. But what I'm trying to say is it's hard to do that. It's hard to appease a broad spectrum of fans, especially coming from all different walks of life, with the goth kids and goth girls and the metalheads. That's a special mix. It truly is. And they were a truly special band. Let's keep it going, man. A really important band to me, Mastodon. I pulled Hush and Grim, their latest album, just because I've been vibing with it. It's so dark. It's so depressing. The band was going through a really tough time. I love Mastodon, a good American success story. Just been at it for almost 30 years now at this point, which is insane to say. Still almost all the original guys, RIP Brent. But I love this album. I love basically all their stuff in varying degrees. Another band that tries to change up the formula, doesn't want to get bored of themselves. And I think they're quintessential American listening, great proggy American metal that, I think it's a good American success story, honestly. And to follow their career has just been really cool, man. Really, really cool. And I'm excited about the new album. I truly, truly am. This record, man, if you've never tried it, give it a shot. It's way long. It's a double album, but it's dark. It's depressing. The band was going through so much at the time with the death of their longtime friend and manager. So yeah, it's a pretty dark record, depressing in lyrical contents and vibes, but it's a good listen. It's a hard listen, but it's a good listen, and I've been vibing with that one. But you really can't go wrong with any other albums. I love all the early stuff too. The heavier stuff, and then their proggy stuff like Crack the Sky. Great album. Hard to tell the story of American metal without talking about this band, Savatage, Hall of the Mountain King. This record kind of precedes itself. I really love most of the band's catalog. I think they got maybe one or two kind of misses in there. I really dig a lot of the rock opera stuff, the Meatloaf-esque rock opera stuff. Like, that's right up my alley. That type of Queen, Meatloaf, rock opera metal stuff. Really, really good too. But this is kind of that bridge and where everything came together, and it's just an absolutely stellar release. And again, hard to tell the story of American metal without talking about this band. And one of my favorites for sure. Just a varied catalog, a ton of albums to dive into, interesting backstories, and drama related to the band if you're into that type of stuff, and looking into how the band came to be and what they become. And then you have the Trans-Siberian Orchestra connection too, which obviously is another really great American success story. So yeah. Good on Savatage. John's vocals and Chris's guitar playing. That duo is that duo was unmatched and unbeat. Really good, really good brother tandem, man. And love this album. Love this band. Like I said, only maybe a couple clunkers in the catalog, but still really solid throughout. Again, another one that kind of talk about that's kind of hard. You can't really talk about American metal and not talk about this man and this band. And the band is half, European, so it's kind of weird. But yeah, I pulled Last in Line just because it's probably my favorite album. I love Holy Diver too, but I think I just grab Last in Line more just because everybody talks about Holy Diver, and I've heard those songs a ton. But I love, probably the first 5-6 albums. And yeah, even his latter stuff like Magica, I really dig too. And these first few albums are just, to borrow a phrase, magic. Like, couldn't be beat. Great lineup too, with Vivian and Vinny and Jimmy Bain. And Ronnie is the American dream. Like, Ronnie's life, that is the American dream. His success and his ability to connect with audiences for decades, like, absolutely amazing. And what an amazing musician, amazing singer, obviously. And so can't talk about American metal without talking about Dio. Kind of ground zero for a lot of that, in a way, which is weird because Ronnie had so much European flair, obviously being in Sabbath and Rainbow. But when he did his own band, man, I think that has an American sound to it. I truly do, even with like Vivian and Jimmy in the early lineups. Another band, quintessential American band here, Dream Theater. I pulled Awake just because I love this album too. Space Divest. I love Space Divest. 6 O'Clock, Erotomania, man, Lie. This is a really good album. I love Images and Words too. I love a good chunk of the catalog, and they are a kind of love it or hate it band. I get it. Some of the fans can be overbearing too, but they're an absolutely stellar fucking band, man. Great musicians, a great run, still going today, and another, like I said, quintessential American dream success story, to come up together all in college, start this band, and then become what they became with, mostly all the original-ish guys through the way, a good chunk of the band, at least the heart of the band. Some guys have left and come back. But yeah, just a great band. I love them. Celebrate them to this day. I get it. I understand why some people don't like them. But if you're into any type of prog, and definitely prog metal, a ton of bands owe a ton of credit to Dream Theater. And like I said, for me anyway, an American success story. And then last but not least, the other death metal pick here, Morbid Angel, pulled Altars, just because Altars is so stellar. And I love the artwork. One of my favorite death metal artworks, for sure, is Altars of Madness. And to talk about another American success story, the run that they had from this record almost all the way through. I mean, I really like Domination quite a bit too. Like a lot of their stuff. To me, they never really released a awful album until 2011. Obviously the obvious elephant in the room there. But a legendary run, especially the first 3-4 albums, like, couldn't be topped, and just a great quintessential American death metal band for sure. Anyways, guys, that's 10 American metal bands that I absolutely love and adore, and I think really good American success stories to celebrate the 4th of July. Some honorables here I'll talk about really quick. Didn't pull anything, but Iced Earth, another band. Really hard to talk about American metal without mentioning Iced Earth. Another great run. I think the pairing of Schaefer and Matt Barlow, absolutely stellar. Manila Road. I'm not going to claim to be the biggest Manila Road head. I'm very early on in my journey. If you saw my appearance on Heavy Metallurgy, I finally was like, all right, how do I get into this band? Alan and Marty were kind enough to point me in the right direction, and that's where I started. And truly, I got it. Once I listened the first time to Crystal Logic, and I got it. I understood why this band is so beloved and why they are so underrated. And I think they are very quintessential American, especially American success story about, them kind of coming back and finding a renaissance as well towards their latter career. Megadeth. Hard to talk about American metal without Megadeth, one of my most important bands in my life for sure. Slayer just inches out, I think, above Megadeth for me as far as my branching out and influencing my listening, but I love a ton of Megadeth. Metallica, obviously. If I was doing an objective list, not subjective, but an objective list of top 10 American metal bands, Metallica has to be in there. They're one of the most important rock bands ever, beyond metal. Incantation, man. I think another just quintessential American band, death metal stalwarts. Just to release so many good albums over 30 years is just absolutely insane. Really, really impressive. Immolation, very much in the same vein, I think, as Incantation as far as that run and just releasing good album over and over and over again. Manowar. I'm not a huge Manowar guy. I like a couple of the albums quite a bit. Hail to England. I love Hail to England. But yeah, I think it's hard to talk about American metal without talking about Manowar. So I wanted to mention them. Fate's Warning as well. Awaken the Guardian. Such an essential record. I love No Exit as well. I love a lot of that catalog, even when they change sounds. I'm a big Dream Theater and Rush fan. So that change and that sound is that they did in the 90s is, just kind of music to my ears, for lack of a better term. Atheist. I think Atheist really needs a lot of credit for exploring jazzy, proggy, techie death metal. And I think those first 3 albums are absolutely legendary. Kind of an underrated pick on here. I know they're beloved by a lot of people, especially like prog and tech death fans, but I think they are severely underrated. And I think, again, kind of a quintessential American death metal band there. Pantera. Not a huge Pantera fan. I don't own any Pantera in my collection just because I've heard Pantera so much throughout my life. I don't really need to own any Pantera. But it's impossible to talk about American metal without talking about Pantera. And I appreciate the songs. I appreciate the big songs, I should say. So I'm, again, not a giant fan, but I love the songs that you're supposed to like. I just need to never really listen to them ever again. Super fun to see Pantera live when I saw him open for Metallica. It was just cool to see Phil. And saw Down too, and he still sounds great, man. And they did good. Like Zach and Charlie did good. It was a little weird, but it was just fun to hear those songs live. Symphony X, I think another quintessential American metal band as well. Kind of, obviously a progressive metal band, kind of in a similar vein as Dream Theater, but a little bit heavier, a little bit more extreme, I should say, maybe. But yeah, just a great, I think, American metal band. I think that kind of gets slept on a little bit. But anyways, guys, happy 4th of July out there to those who celebrate. Thanks for watching. Comment down below, what are some bands that I missed? What do you think about some of these bands? Like the video if you are so inclined. I would appreciate it. And subscribe if you want more. Thanks, everybody. Peace.